I just tell the truth, and telling the truth is crazy in a world full of lies. If you mix brilliance with bravery, that we can ignite something. Even this conversation alone can ignite the people.
The time is now to express and for people to believe in themselves. The time is now for it to be okay to be great. People in this world shun people for being great, for being a bright color, for standing out. But the time is now to be okay to be the greatest you.
Hey guys, what's up? It's your girl Kelly, and we are back with another video. If you guys are new to the channel and you enjoy true crime stories, news, politics, and so much more, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button, guys. I really would appreciate it. And if you are a returning listener, subscriber, well, thank you guys, as always, for being a friend. I really appreciate y'all, and please like the video if you like it. Give me a comment, whatever you can do. It really does help me out, and it's a free way to do so. And I thank everyone in advance for watching this video.
You know the thing.
So let's get right into it. Okay, guys, let's jump right down into it. And I didn't think we'd be here, actually, once again, talking about the lesbian WNBA league, but yet, alas, here we are. Our First Amendment is currently being trampled all over. And not only that, they don't just want to get rid of the First Amendment, but they want to actually compel people's speech. So I wanted to talk about the racism that's being heaped upon Caitlin Clark. I can say without a doubt that is real. And they are trying to control this girl's speech. They are trying to compel her to state the narrative that they want her to state and to repeat the woke catchphrases that they want her to say. So the latest thing is all of these lesbians are coming out and trying to shame Caitlin Clark into condemning people who are her fans and people who are rooting for her, people who are standing up for her, because I think that's the worst thing that she could do. The Connecticut Sun guard Dejanay Carrington unleashed a race-hustling tirade against rookie sensation Caitlin Clark, claiming the Indiana Fever guard's name is being used to justify racism and homophobia against black lesbians in the WNBA. Somebody save the black lesbians, my God. So this all came after this most recent dust up on the basketball court where Dejanay, actually bumped into Caitlin Clark. Another obvious targeted foul on this girl after she was viciously body checked by that other lesbian on the other team that I don't care about these people, so I don't really care about their names, but yeah, it just keeps happening over and over again, and it's very funny. But she was booed in her own stadium.
The defense to come down and collapse, at least open 3 opportunities.
Clark nudged by Carrington. And Carrington believes there's some acting going on, and Clark has some words for her.
The defense to come down.
There is some acting going on because, bitch, that's not your real hair. Take it off. Take off the wig. Why are these girls allowed to wear all of this damn weave? Okay, it's a hazard. It's a hazard. Like, who wants to breathe in those fumes? But so yes, you're acting like that's your real hair, and it's not. But anywho, I digress. So she basically tried to like make fun of her or try to say that Caitlin Clark overreacts. And listen, look at the NBA. If you're not a flopper in the NBA, are you even in the NBA? I mean, LeBron James is the flop meister in chief. If anybody's going to throw themselves down on the basketball court after being slightly brushed up against, after, the most minor of plays, it's LeBron James. So she's just trying to bring a little pizzazz, a little, excitement to the game. And I think that they could really take a page from her book, but is that what they do? No, of course not. They choose to self-sabotage and continue to come after this girl and make themselves look like the bitter bitches that they are. Seriously, what's the deal with the wigs and the fake eyelashes? That's right. It's absolutely right. She's a thug. She is. Okay? So despite being booed and rejected by her own fans after doing that whole, ghetto stunt that she did on the court and trying to make fun of Caitlin Clark, just making herself look even stupider than she already is. She posted this on Twitter, and this is kind of what got the whole controversy stirred up, where several reporters were then asking Caitlin Clark to denounce or to basically try to say that she doesn't want people to use her name as a form of baiting racism, which is absolutely ridiculous. You cannot make anybody, Caitlin Clark's not responsible for anybody else's actions, neither is anyone else. We all have agency, we all have free will. And so to ask this girl to, denounce something that she has no control over when she's just trying to play basketball, it's just retarded, okay? But this is what Dejanay said on Twitter. Dog, how one cannot be bothered by their name being used to justify racism, bigotry, misogyny, xenophobia. Because apparently now they're coming for the Muslims. Caitlin Clark has stirred up Muslim hatred somehow, some way. Homophobia and the intersectionalities of them all is nuts. Girl, what did you just say there? What did you just say? You literally just threw every woke word into a pot and took a shit on it and just called it a tweet. Because what the fuck was that? So she said, we all see the shit. We all have a platform. We all have a voice, and they all hold weight. Silence is a luxury. What happened to silence is violence? Did y'all get rid of that one? Okay, whatever, girl. And actually, some voices hold more weight, and some people have bigger platforms, but I don't know if you know anything about that because nobody really knows who the fuck you are. So, the latest contrived drama further worsened Thursday after two reporters for The Athletic, a sports website owned by the left-wing New York Times, tried to bait Clark with race-hustling traps. So let's look at these two instances and see what Caitlin Clark was asked and what she had to say.
No matter what you do or what is done to you, it becomes a topic nationally, and a lot of times it becomes divisive. I wonder from your standpoint how you feel about people using your name in whatever culture wars or whatever wars they're fighting. How do you feel about that?
It's not something I can control, so I don't put too much thought and time into thinking about things like that, and to be honest, I don't see a lot of it. Like I've said, basketball is my job. Everything on the outside, I can't control that, so I'm not going to spend time thinking about that. People can talk about what they want to talk about, create conversations about whatever it is, but I think for myself, I'm just here to play basketball. I'm here to have fun. I'm trying to help our team win. Obviously, we've won 3 games, and we feel like we've been in a position to win a few more than that. And my focus is on helping us do that. But I don't pay much mind to all of that, to be honest.
How much do you think that it's impacted your ability to cultivate relationships within the league?
Girl, what?
I think everybody in the league understands. One, we're excited about all this attention. Appreciative of it. I think the league has been great for a really long time, but my focus is on my teammates. They've been amazing. I don't think it's impacted me making relationships on my team.
That's all that matters.
I'm not obviously talking to people on other teams on a daily basis.
Right.
I have so much to focus on here, and getting my teammates to trust me and do all that is my main focus. Same with our coaching staff, and same with this organization.
Yeah,
I understand
exactly.
your focus, but I'm just curious though, are you bothered that folks would attempt to weaponize your name in whatever fight they're fighting?
No, I don't see it. That's not where my focus is. My focus is here and on basketball, and that's where it needs to be, and that's where it has been. And
You're done. You're done with the question, sir. Get him out of here. Get him out. See, I like that answer. I liked everything she just said right there. I thought that was great. A+ all the way. Now, the second statement that was, or the second question that was asked of her, I felt like, at that point she had kind of gotten people in her ear and kind of, realized that they weren't going to stop picking at her or nagging at her until she said something a little bit more, I guess, to their liking, or a little bit more forceful against people using her name, as if she has any control over that, as if making a statement saying, hey guys, please don't use my name for racism or for clicks or your political ideologies. No one gives a shit what she says. She could come out and beg everyone to never say her name again, and people are still going to talk about her. So it's just pointless. It's lip service, and it's just all theater for a broader purpose of trying to prove a point to the weak-minded people, to the low IQ people that can be convinced by this propaganda. It's really absolutely crazy. Why are you so close to her face? First of all, why are we this close to her face? My God, give the girl some space.
Caitlin, I know you mentioned that, you know, you want to focus straight on basketball. Definitely respect that. But when, just asking you directly, when people use your name for racism, misogyny, whatever, what is your response to that specifically?
Yeah, I think it's disappointing. I think, you know, everybody in our world, you know, deserves the same amount of respect. The women on our league deserve the same amount of respect. So people should not be using my name to push those agendas. It's disappointing. You know, it's not acceptable. But yeah, I mean, this league is a league I grew up admiring and wanting to be a part of. Like, some of the women in this league were my biggest idols and role models growing up and helped me want to achieve this moment right here that I get to play in every single night. So just treating every single woman in this league with the same amount of respect, I think is just a basic human thing that everybody should do. Like, you know, just be a kind person and treat them, you know, how you would want to be treated. And I think it's, you know, very simple.
And so, you know, I think a lot, this guy, I think a lot of people, you know, question why Caitlin Clark, why she became such a powerhouse, became such a, you know, popularized person. And I think like those two statements or those two answers to those questions that were just obviously, you know, targeted to want to invoke a certain response from her. And I think that that's disgusting, first of all. But the way that she answered it, I think it kind of shows very clearly why people have, you know, drawn into this girl, why people have really like become, you know, fascinated or a fan of this girl. And if you look at some of the other, you know, young ladies, if you want to call them that, and their response to a lot of this controversy, and, you know, specifically people like Angel Reese, who, you know, is just such a piece of trash to me, in my opinion, because they're just angry fucking black women. That's their stereotype. They're living up to it 100%. And I hate to see it for them because they don't have to be this way. But this girl is a role model. And that's what somebody said on Twitter or in one of the videos I watched. It's like, she's a good role model for young girls to look up to because of the way she handles herself. You know, she speaks eloquently. She didn't tear anybody down in her response. She didn't also tear her fans down. She didn't, you know, do what they wanted her to do and, you know, condemn all of the evil whites that, you know, are supposedly latching onto her just because she's white. No, it's because, you know, she exudes a certain type of confidence about herself, and also she exudes a certain type of behavior and work ethic that people want their kids to strive towards. People want their little girls to look up to somebody who has morals, who has, you know, some sort of couth or class about them, not somebody wearing a wig and fake eyelashes who's getting up to cheer when another girl gets assaulted on the basketball court. I'm sorry, that's not what people want from their little girls. They don't want people like, you know, that ugly asshole that knocked Caitlin Clark down on the basketball court the other day, or the other one who pretended to mock Caitlin Clark. Nobody wants their kids to act like that. Nobody wants that. So of course they're not going to pay much attention to players like that who act that way, and they're not going to want to watch them and go to their games and introduce their kids to these people, because who in their right mind would? And I think it's ridiculous that they're just ruining this girl's whole entire, you know, childhood dream and her experience in this league. And I think it's very, very sad because this girl did nothing wrong. So let's look at some of LeBron James's comments.
The one thing that I love that she's bringing to her sport, more people want to watch. More people want to tune in. Don't get it twisted. Don't get it fucked up. Caitlin Clark is the reason why a lot of great things is going to happen for the WNBA. But for her individually, I don't think she should get involved on nothing that's being said. Just go have fun, enjoy. You know, but I'm rooting for Caitlin because I've been in that seat before. I've walked that road before. I hope she kills. I hope Aaliyah Boston does amazing. You know, I hope they do great. You know, I'm just kind of in this mode right now because I'm getting the same, you know, thing from watching my son, who's a 19-year-old, kind of getting a lot of animosity and hatred towards him when he's just a kid trying to live out his dream. You know, there's a very small number of men and women that actually get to live out their dream of playing a professional sport. And we have grown-ass men and women out here doing whatever they can to try to make sure that does not happen. That is the weirdest thing in the world, but it is what it is, and I'm glad that Caitlyn has a great head on her shoulder.
It's extremely fucking weird and bizarre, and he's right, you know? And I'm glad that he came out and said that, because these people need to get their, you know, they need to get a grip, honestly. It's just ridiculous. Try to tear this girl down. So let's look at Stephen A. Smith's comments, because these are really the cherry on top of this lunatic Sunday.
There's a broader issue here.
No, is there?
That can't be escaped. And that is this. She is a white young lady. And she's been a magnet in a way that has benefited the league in ways that others have not, even though their efforts have been worthy and deserving of being as celebrated, if not even more celebrated. And it's a reminder that no matter how far we believe that we have advanced as a society, there's still such a long way to go, because in the end, if you're white, you're bright, you're right, and as a result, the shine comes your way in the eyes of a lot of people in America. Let's transition. Very uncomfortable to touch on, but just factually correct. You have somebody that's a presidential candidate. What is his claim to fame? Make America great again. What have people interpreted that to mean? Make America white again. These are the things that critics have said. He has his supporters spanning the tens of millions. There are others on the other side having tens of millions.
I'm sorry, who has interpreted that besides you? Don't speak for other people. Since when do Trump supporters interpret Make America Great Again as Make America White Again? I mean, it'd be nice, but that's not what we're fucking, like, that was never the message, okay? It was never the message. It was just the Make America Great Again, meaning get all the fucking riffraff out, make the country for the people again, and, you know, stop having these leaders who just want to steal everybody's future and wreck our country. Okay, it's really very simple. It has nothing to do with race whatsoever. It has everything to do with people who value and love the country and the idea of what the country was built on, and not people who seek to destroy it. I think that's just such a stupid point.
Tens of millions of the supporters on their side. What has that led to? A divide. It is not a divide that is created. It is a divide that's illuminated because it's highlighting and showing that it's been in existence all along.
You know
it
what?
hasn't gone anywhere. As we travel for the NBA Finals, and Janae is here with yours truly, and Kendrick Perkins and Brian Windows and stuff like that. Yeah, in the city of Dallas, we're chilling, this metropolis, and we're having a good time. Go to some of the outskirts of Texas. Go to some of the outskirts of Florida. Go to some of the outskirts of various places throughout this country.
Yeah,
and you see places.
All you country whites.
It was the way that it was, and we ain't trying to change it for anybody. We're
right.
holding on to this, whatever that it.
Head out of Democrat cities, and Stephen A. Smith hates you, okay? If you live outside of a metropolitan major city, people like this in the media hate your fucking guts if you're white, okay? They think you're a country bumpkin idiot who just, sits on fucking porch all day and, seethes and rages with hatred for black people and other races, okay? That's what they think.
Maybe. And as a result of that, we find ourselves on too many occasions witnessing the conflict that we thought had subsided, that we thought had evaporated before our very eyes. And what we've learned is it has not. It has not. So when Carrington spoke up,
you're right, it hasn't.
Where she was coming from. I certainly don't hold Caitlin Clark accountable for that. But what Caitlin Clark has to understand is that it's not really you personally. It's you, the figure. It's and as a result of that, we find ourselves on too many occasions witnessing the conflict that we thought had subsided. If we could do it, everybody has done before our very eyes. And what we've learned is it has happen. It has not. So when Carrington spoke up, I got where she was coming from. I certainly don't hold Caitlin Clark accountable for that. But what Caitlin Clark has to understand is that it's not really you personally. It's you, the figure. It's you, the prop per se, that is being utilized to address a bigger point. If we could do it, everybody has done it. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and others were trying to make things happen in the 50s, in the 60s.
Not a conspiracy theory.
Refusing to give us seat up on the bus. Everybody knows that was something that was orchestrated because a bigger issue needed to be addressed. And they had to find the right person to address it. And throughout history, we've seen a plethora of things transpire.
Stephen A. Smith, where's your tinfoil hat?
Has the light shined on them, and it was orchestrated and plotted and planned because a bigger message and a bigger issue needed to be addressed. And the right person needed to come along to give us the license to address it. And it might not have been through their own volition, but it happens. Caitlin Clark is a wonderful basketball player who I think is going to be a star in this league. And she is box office, and she does generate ratings, and all of those things are true. But the fact that she is a young white lady and the world has gravitated to her the way that they have, in a way, they have done for no one else in the 28-year history of the WNBA, and Lord knows how long Team USA has been into existence. It's just further evidence of the times that we're living in, but most importantly, the times we've been living in. And the
he
progress
thought he
that
fucking
purportedly
ate
has
right
been
there.
made,
He really
although
thought
it has existed
he
to some
ate.
degree,
And
doesn't
all
negate the
he
fact
did
that we
was
can't gloss
nibble.
over the
We live in
reality
a
of
different
what we're
age where
exposed
you
to
can go
every
viral,
single day.
and
That is
people
what
can
Janae has
get
spoken about.
to
That is what
fame and
Carrington was alluding
stardom,
to. That is what a
and
plethora of people
get
within
a
the
name for themselves a
WNBA,
lot
within the
quicker
world is
than they
alluding to
were
today.
able to.
Yo, y'all, there's
So
still a lot of work
let's
to be
just
done
take it
because
back to
things
what you
haven't
said
changed
before.
nearly as much as we would
How
like to believe.
it's funny that you think that she's getting all of this success because she's white. Well, if you look at the WNBA and the makeup of it, most of the women in that league are black. So it is out of the norm. And this is what you'll see a lot of times. America loves an underdog story. America loves a story of a person of a different race coming into a league in which the majority dominant race is different than their own. Okay. So it is like somewhat of a come up story. It is somewhat of a, phenomenon because it's not something we see every day. Plus everything else. Plus the fact that like Caitlin Clark is who she is. You know, people like her because she seems like a more wholesome and well-spoken figure within the WNBA of ratchet ghetto trash. And, you know, she's apparently a good role model and all of that. Plus she's a really good basketball player. I don't know anything about that part, but let's take a look. You know, you say that this is clear proof that we haven't had any progress. We haven't, it's just pure racism because people are elevating whitey, but let me just point you to another example. Tennis, okay? Predominantly, I would say a white sport, okay? If you guys can agree with me, let me know in the comments, right? So it's been historically so that tennis has been predominantly a white dominated sport. When Serena Williams and Venus Williams entered the field and became, the tennis playing phenomenon that they are now at this moment in time, was there this huge bit of backlash from America overall against them because of their race? I'm sorry. No, that didn't happen. Was there just this huge amount of resistance against them because people don't want to see blacks playing tennis? Gross. Ew. No, it wasn't any of that. Another example, golf, completely white dominated sport. Okay. 100% overall. Tiger Woods, was he rejected because he's a black from playing golf? When he entered a majority white dominated sport and became one of the top players, if not the top player for a time? No. So your point is not only idiotic and invalid, it clearly shows that you have not spent any time thinking about what you're saying, and you're just saying things to propagandize people and to try to get people to have a reaction, okay, over race, which is disgusting to me.
Rose above that. I was bullied, but so that's in the book. That's not, we go into that a little bit in the arena, but yeah, I was, and things that I had to go through now, people will be canceled for saying back then.
So when you see crazy. Like a Caitlin Clark, what advice would you have maybe for her?
I just love that she tries to stay grounded, and she says she doesn't. What did she say? She doesn't have a social. She doesn't look at her social, and I get it. I don't either, and I think it's so important to continue to do what she's doing, and no matter what other people do, then if people are negative, it's because they can't do what you do, basically, and hopefully she'll continue to do what she's doing. So.
And that's facts, honestly, and I'm sure she was bullied. I'm sure Serena Williams did receive a lot of hate from within the league because, and the same kind of thing that Caitlin Clark's experiencing, I'm 100% sure of that. And I'm sure Tiger Woods did too. I'm not trying to negate that or say that they just had it so easy, but I'm saying from the general public, they were beloved, and they still are beloved figures within their sports and within the American public. And they're both black. Okay. They're both black. So it's not like they were just rejected and had to come up and earn the love and the respect from Americans, for the most part, you know, I feel like they were very popular and remain very popular. Maybe not Tiger Woods, because he's been through some shit, but he still is popular, you know, as a figure within the American public. So I think it's just absolute bullshit. And I really hope that Caitlin Clark takes the advice of these athletes who have come before her and who are on her side and giving her positive reinforcement, and don't capitulate or listen to all the noise that is surrounding her from these peers of hers that are just absolutely in the gutter and don't have any meaningful dialogue to add to the conversation other than to just try to tear her down. So let's move on, guys. That's what I have to say about Caitlin Clark. Hopefully it'll be the last time I have to talk about this, but I just hate the anti-white racism that I'm seeing from directed towards her, and just overall. I mean, I can't stand it anyways, because, like, you know, I am white, so who else is going to stick up for us but us, you know? Every other race gets to speak out on their own behalf, and white people should too, when we see things like this, because it is absolutely ridiculous. So let's move on to the next one, guys. If you guys watch this channel, then you already know that I've featured many times clips from the show The Hill Rising, and I've always given kudos to Brianna. She definitely is somebody who I feel like gets on my nerves with her brand of politics, but nevertheless, I feel like she's always been somebody who is an intelligent and honest broker of her own ideology, and I feel like she's somebody who comes to the table and is willing to debate people from all different ideas and from all different viewpoints, and I think that that's respectable. And I find that people who are progressive, who I disagree with on a fundamental level, as long as they're open and willing to have the conversation and to not melt down over it, is a respectable person and should be allowed to say whatever they want to say. And if you guys are familiar with The Hill or with Brianna in general, then you already know that she's very much a pro-Palestinian type. You know, she's a progressive leftist, so it's not really surprising at all. But, you know, she's been very outspoken and very passionate about this particular subject. And, you know, it's something that I don't necessarily agree with her on, but I do agree with her anti-war sentiments. And I do agree with the fact that, you know, I'm not pro-Palestinian, but I am pro-ending any war that is being fought over, especially a foreign war that we have nothing to do with as Americans, but that is causing death and destruction to children, innocent children, and innocent people, innocent civilians. I'm pro ending that altogether. Okay, whatever by whatever means it takes. So I'm definitely an anti-war person when it comes to that sort of ideology, and I feel like that's where me and Brianna align. So let's look at this clip. I wanted to show you guys this, just a portion of this interview that she did with Candace, because I was really waiting on this, because people have also been after Candace, because I feel like Candace and I are more aligned, but for me, I just choose to focus on American issues more. But nevertheless, this is a conflict that people are very outspoken about, so I was waiting kind of for this moment to happen between these two ladies, and she finally had her on the show. So I just wanted to talk about that and see what you guys thought about the idea of somebody being anti-Israel, anti-Zionism, which I'm definitely anti-Zionism in terms of America. I don't think that any foreign government or any foreign agency, any loyalist to other countries should be in any sector of our government whatsoever. So, and that is a major problem with Zionists. So let's look at a portion of this interview, and let me know what you guys think about Brianna Joy Gray and whether or not she deserved to be fired for this snippet of this interview that we're about to watch.
It's also what's happening in media. We are seeing people get plucked, not because they're anti-Semitic, but because they're not pro-Israel enough. You know, they're not happy, I guess, when an innocent Palestinian kid dies. That's what it seems like. If you are not completely doing the work of AIPAC, and if you are not willing to support every action that Bibi Netanyahu does, then the media will perpetuate you as an anti-Semite who should lose everything. And that is wrong. And there's somebody who claims that she recently just went through that. As I told you at the top, her name is Brianna Joy Gray, and she was fired. According to the headlines, it was because of her shocking response to the sister of a Hamas hostage. I'm going to let you hear what Brianna said to the sister of the Hamas hostage, and tell me if you're completely shocked by it. Take a listen to Brianna while she was at the Hill interviewing this young woman.
This is not okay that we have terror organization that's controlling the free world, and people in the West letting it happen and stay on the streets, killing the hostages now, or Israelis must die. What did I do wrong? What did my sister did wrong? Nothing. Nothing. We did nothing wrong.
Well,
This was happening inside our own country.
Yeah.
And if the world won't help us, we will see 9/11 a second time in the U.S. as well. But we can already see in the United States, in Michigan, rallies that's calling death to America, not condemning terror organizations in Israel or any other place. In fact, is reflecting to your country as well.
Well, I don't know about you guys, but that sounded a little bit like a threat. I don't know. Call me crazy, but what do you mean there's going to be a 9/11 too if we don't help you guys out? What do you mean by that, ma'am? What do you mean? Pretty bizarre and awkward thing to say, because it's giving threat.
I'm just going to push back against the implication that in Michigan, which has the largest Muslim and Arab population in America, that there is any threat of terrorism from our own people. And I would like to clarify also that one of the rationale that was presented for 9/11 was discussed with America's support of Israel's continued occupation of Palestine. So that's neither here nor there. I really do hope that Netanyahu agrees and Israel agrees to the ceasefire deal that could bring all the hostages, including your sister, home. And I'm sure many people watching are praying for her safety.
Thank you. Me too. And I really hope that you specifically will believe women when they say that they got hurt.
All right. Thanks for joining. Stick around. More Rising coming up next.
There it is. Shocking. She seems to have rolled her eyes when the young woman told her to believe women. I mean, that hashtag just believe women, of course, is something that makes me roll my eyes as well. We want to believe our hard facts, and we want to be able to discern what is actually happening. But I'm not going to contextualize anything that Brianna did. I'm going to allow her to speak on behalf of herself.
And I can definitely agree with that sentiment. We need to stop having the emotional knee-jerk reactions in terms of policy, in terms of things that are very serious and could have ramifications for many people. We need to stop for a second and just not be so emotional all the time. And it did have a lot to do with the whole, Me Too movement, believe all women. All of that was a lie. All of that was a hoax. All of that was utter bullshit. Okay. And it ruined a lot of people's lives. And so for the amount of time, proof there is of all of the times that we've been lied to by our government throughout history, and not even just our government, but just history books in general, we've been lied to over and over again. So I think it is fair to say that in times like these, questioning things should be allowed, and discussing these topics should always be allowed and should be an open forum for any idea to come forward and then it be hashed out, and people can decide for themselves what they believe. You can go with the narrative that we've always been told, which may or may not be true, or you can decide for yourself something different. That's not dangerous. That's not this controversial idea of, free speech being this big, scary, boogeyman. It's just not. As far as Brianna's reaction to the young woman, I do feel like at best it might have been a bit rude or, just blunt there at the end. Her rolling her eyes, whatever. I don't, to me, like I said, she has the freedom of her speech to be exasperated, to be annoyed, to even not to believe that woman and what she's the claims that she's making. I think that you can think whatever you want about her disagreeing and rolling her eyes and not believing that, but she should be allowed to do that without the backlash that people oftentimes face now in today's society, because they're just angry, they're mad about somebody's words. I think people need to toughen up, okay? We used to have to deal with a lot more out of life. People used to be a lot more apt to be able to hear and listen to words that they didn't necessarily agree with or that made them uncomfortable without absolutely melting down. And I think we need to get back to that.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we just showed you the clip in monologue of Brianna Joy Gray. You heard what she had to say, obviously speaking to a victim's sister. I thought she sounded compassionate. I didn't see the interview before I read the headlines. The headline that I saw reads, this is from the Daily Mail, Brianna Joy Gray is fired after her shocking response to sister of Hamas hostage. So I was like, wow, what did Brianna say? She must have just been off the rails crazy. It's not what I got. Very, very excited, Brianna, to have you join us here today. I know you're in the midst of a firestorm. How are you doing?
I'm doing all right. And I really do appreciate you reaching out, Candace, as someone who has been through this not so unique experience. I was going to say unique experience, but increasingly it's happening as I think more and more journalists who might not have focused on this particular issue in the past find themselves doing so, informing themselves, and finding themselves on the quote unquote wrong side of this issue when it comes to censorship. So I really do appreciate you reaching out.
And it's interesting to have you and I speaking because we are not on the same side of the political aisle. I mean, you are a person, your background, you were the spokesperson for the Bernie Sanders campaign. I mean, I was very much identified as a Trump supporter about as far as you could be in the media's eyes when he was running in 2016. And yet we do find ourselves allied in the belief that people in America should be able to criticize the actions of foreign governments without having their entire livelihoods risked. This is not normal. And yet there are so many people who know, like I know and like you know, that if you are in media, you got to be careful talking about Israel. Why is that?
Yeah, it really is the one true red line. And I think you experienced that as being part of a media organization that I think rightly really prioritized and focused on various threats to free speech in various different contexts and across the political spectrum. But it really does feel like free speech except for when it comes to Israel, progressive except for when it comes to Palestine. I mean, there is this Palestine-sized hole or exception in a lot of people's principled stance against various issues. And I say progressive except for Palestine because there are similarly people on the left who say that they care about various groups, who say that they are anti-war, but who very similarly will look the other way or frankly become very oppositional when suddenly the people that we're talking about who are being under siege in a conflict are in fact Palestinian.
You view a certain race to be above critique. And I found that when I was being lied upon by a man named Rabbi Barclay. You say you're a rabbi, you're supposed to be a leader in your community, and you're publishing lies about things that I never said. And when he spoke to me, he was very honest. And I realized, okay, he's actually just a racial supremacist. Mm-hmm. He's telling me that he believes that, if Jewish blood is shed, it does in fact matter more. When it is Jewish history, it matters more. And I appreciated his honesty, and I could see why we were going to be on the wrong side of this issue, because I don't believe in racial supremacy, whether it's coming from BLM leaders talking about, their list of demands for white people. I don't believe in racial supremacy if it's white people, and I certainly am not going to accept it if it's Jewish people. That's not something that anyone should accept.
Well, it'll come as no surprise to you, Candace, that I feel differently about when we can get more specific about your qualms with BLM, but with respect to Israel.
And I don't know what that means. Is that her trying to say that she thinks that black people are superior? That was a little weird. And I mean, I expected from Brianna, like I said, I disagree with her a lot. And I think that, I get very annoyed with her a lot. And, almost to the point of anger. And I feel like she is, teetering a lot of times on racism towards white people. She is consistent with what she's talking about, and she's open to debate. So that's really all I can ask for from somebody who I fundamentally disagree with.
Israel, I do think that what has become increasingly clear to people is that the ideology that sort of justifies a Jewish state created in the middle of an Arab land really requires a commitment to basically expelling, ethnically cleansing, and even committing what has been described by the ICJ as a plausible genocide against a population so that there can be a Jewish majority. And I know that's a sort of uncomfortable fact, but it's one that I think many people are coming to when you start to question why it is that Israel has made the choice to treat 5 million people who are in constructively occupied territory in both the West Bank and Gaza as second-class citizens for years and years, not to mention the 20% of Israel's population who are subject to about 60 different laws that discriminate against them in terms of housing, employment, and in other kinds of arenas. And it all comes down to when you start to listen to people explain why they think it's acceptable to, for example, kill over 270 Palestinians and murder so many children the way we saw just a few days ago in Gaza to rescue 3 hostages. You have people very openly saying it's justified. It would have been justified to kill 500, 1,000 Palestinians if it meant getting 3 hostages back. Does that really seem worth it? I think the average person says no. And the only reason you come to a yes is if you really very cheaply value lives are not Israeli.
And that's where
And so I think that is so fascinating to me. And I'm still really kind of trying to solidify my views on this and really make it into something that, makes sense to me, because it is very, very complex. And I think that comparison, what she just said about getting the 3 hostages back and losing the lives of 300 and then the one the one Israeli soldier, it's so eerily similar to what happened on, like, say, like 9/11, where, 3,000 Americans were killed, and then in return, we went and killed 1 million Iraq citizens. Like, where does it end? Where does it end? Because I understand that since the beginning of time, men have gone to war. People have gone to war. Societies, cultures have always been at war with each other. And I just don't know if we ever will fix that. So I don't even know if being quote unquote anti-war is even like a plausible ideology to have, if that makes sense. I think it's the correct one to have if you're a Christian and if you want to see good in the world. But with the way that people are set up and with the way that humans are set up, I don't, it's like almost like wishing for utopia in a sense, because I don't know if there ever would be a time in human history where war doesn't exist. Because on one hand, I do understand, Israel having this state, that was, the only thing that I can say is like it was given to them. So it wasn't won in a fight, or it wasn't like, conquered or anything like that. So it's very difficult to discern what is right there. But, they set up a society there. They set up their land there, and they want to defend it, and they want to keep it mainly to be consistent of Jewish people. And I want that for America. I think that we should be defending our country in the same way, where we should be getting out and expelling a lot of these foreigners that are trying to come into our country and, take it over and change it fundamentally into something that more closely resembles their culture. I think that that's wrong. And I think that any other country on this earth doesn't allow that. And that's okay to not allow that. But on the other hand, it's difficult with the way that Israel has been fought over as a holy land since pretty much the beginning of human, like, written history. I mean, so it's just so many layers, and it's such a complex piece of history, historical land and everything like that, that it's just it's probably never going to be resolved, to be honest. And I just don't see how a resolution can be found. So the only thing in my mind that makes sense is for America to stay out of it, But what do you guys think? I definitely, in regards to Brianna and her getting fired from the Hill, I think it's a travesty. I think it's disgusting from the Hill Rising to have removed her. The program is not the same since she left. The girls that they've put on in her place are just not even close to the level that she was at. And I think that it's going to be bad for them having made this move and kind of showed their true colors and said, like, look, as a platform that promoted itself as being, both left-wing and right-wing and coming together and discussing all of the issues and from both sides of the political spectrum, is kind of tarnished now, because you've proven that you can talk about anything. But if you talk about Israel in a negative light or in a way that they don't agree with, or if you roll your eyes at someone who is perceived as this sympathetic figure, then you're gone. You're gone. And I think that that's wrong, personally. So let's move on to the last couple things. It is absolutely disgusting what they're doing to Alex Jones over this Sandy Hook controversy, okay? I think this is probably one of the most abhorrent, blatantly disgusting and vile things that has ever been perpetrated in our judicial system. And I'm truly sickened by the people who have made it their mission to try to destroy this man over his speech. And I didn't agree with it back then. And I don't even necessarily agree, that Sandy Hook was fake, but I'm just saying, when the media goes so hard on something and they try to bury something or somebody over something that they said in regards to any one particular topic, that's when it kind of starts to pique my interest. That's when I really start to wonder, like, are they onto something there? Are they actually maybe too close to the target? And that's why the media has gone so hard against Alex Jones. On the other hand, It could just be that, you know, this is such a horrific tragedy that people are just that outraged. But I think it's a little excessive. But a judge has allowed him to liquidate his personal assets. But if you guys don't know, and if you aren't familiar with this, a $1.5 billion judgment was made against him in regards to something that he said about Sandy Hook, and basically was entertaining or questioning the idea of whether or not Sandy Hook was a hoax or a, you know, government false flag or something of that nature. And he did entertain the idea. I have seen the clips of him saying certain things, but I think for the most part, it wasn't his original idea. And I think he was just kind of going along with different audience theories that were being brought to his attention. And sometimes, you know, certain things, you'll look at them and they'll make sense to you. And if you keep peeling back the layers, you might really be convinced that this could be a possibility, that it could be that, you know, there was some funny business going on behind the scenes there, but no one really is going to know unless you were there. So to say that he can't question it or he can't say that is antithetical to the First Amendment, is antithetical to free speech and the media in general, because the media spouts off lies after lies after lies. Is just another example of our free speech under attack and the First Amendment being slowly chipped away at. And this video was clipped and released, and people were just going in on him and pointing and laughing over a man who is brought to tears because he's been in this business for 30 plus years, okay? Doing the work, okay? Need I remind you that literally on 9/11, Alex Jones was on his platform telling us all what the fuck actually happened, okay? He was on it, like immediately on it. When everyone else was trying to tell us that it was some fucking Muslim in a cave somewhere in Afghanistan and 12 or 19 Saudis who overtook planes with box cutters, Alex Jones was spitting facts on his platform, okay, about 9/11. I mean, this man has been groundbreaking stories after stories after stories that the mainstream media would never touch. And they have tried to destroy him quite literally, monetarily, spiritually, and everything else. And I think it's a travesty. But people were looking at this video and sharing it and laughing and saying, ha ha, Alex Jones is destroyed. You know, Alex Jones is over. And like, I think anybody who laughs or who celebrates in someone's demise or celebrates in someone's sorrow, I think you're a disgusting person.
At the end of the day, we're going to beat these people. I'm not trying to be dramatic here, but it's been a hard fight. And these people hate our children.
I mean, I laugh because he's funny, but I mean, I mean, that's sad to me. I think that's absolutely disgusting. And, you know, I want to show you guys a couple of tweets that I resonated with in regards to this whole thing with Alex Jones, because at this point, you got to look twice at it. Once you see how big of a deal they're making this and how much they're trying to take this man down over this one thing, out of all the things, the crazy shit that he said over the years that people have pointed to and said that, oh, he's insane person. He's out of his mind. Where's his tinfoil hat? This is the thing that they've latched onto and somehow gotten a judgment of $1.5 billion fucking dollars. Just think about that number for a second. So this is from Colin Rugg. Sandy Hook families want to take control of Alex Jones's social media accounts in his bankruptcy. It's pretty bizarre that these people seem to have more animosity towards Jones than the actual shooter. The families have asked a bankruptcy judge in Houston to seize control of Jones's accounts, his social media accounts. They say the accounts are no different than a customer list of any liquidating business.
The war in Iraq was ridiculous. I remember I watched it. I watched it on TV. You remember that night when we opened bombing?
Oh,
it was just on the news.
I remember.
We're like, here's us fucking up some other city.
Yeah. Boom, boom.
We watched it, and I was
you
like...
see the tracer missiles?
Yeah. I remember being a kid and being like, this is fucking weird.
Yeah. It was fucking weird.
It's weird.
What's really crazy is that they never showed the evidence of weapons of mass destruction.
Because there were none.
they should have had something that would let them go to war, but they never had any real evidence.
Hey, remember when Alex Jones got sued for $1 billion?
More.
And then
I think it's more than
the
$1 billion.
people that killed 1 million people in Iraq didn't face any repercussions.
Crazy.
What a time.
What a time.
What a fucking time.
Isn't that nuts? Isn't that nuts?
What the heck?
What's the real misinformation?
I said, what the heck?
Yeah.
Oh my.
The war in Iraq was
ridiculous.
What is the real information and misinformation? And who wrote the history books? I just want to know. And then this right here really fucking blew my mind, okay? And I don't know. I think this picture might have been tweaked a little bit, to be fair. I do think that this possibly has been tweaked a bit. But the resemblance, I'm just going to leave this here. And do people even remember this one on the right's name? Do people even know who was the actual villain from Sandy Hook? Who was the person who is responsible for anything that might have happened that day? It wasn't Alex Jones, I'll tell you that much. And why hasn't the families, the Sandy Hook families, gone after this man's family? I get that he killed his mother supposedly and then killed himself, but he had other family members. I mean, there was nobody else to go after but Alex Jones. I just find it hard to believe. And I think that he was over the target, and he was the biggest person with the biggest platform at the time who they could point to that was not going along with the narrative. Okay. And whatever that might be. And I'm not trying to say that it was a fake event that happened, because I don't know. I mean, my heart tells me that yes, there were children that died that day, and that's what I do believe, but I don't know if the official story of how or why is accurate. I'll just leave it at that.
I demand Benjamin Netanyahu take 20 Palestinians in his house. And I demand his candy-ass son in Miami suit up in body armor and go to Gaza and fight these people, or get the hell out of my world.
That's facts.
And I don't say that because I hate Jews. I say that because I'm not a toilet bowl you sit on and shit on.
Oh my.
I'm not here to eat your fucking shit. You fucking got that? I demand.
I mean, yeah, listen. You gotta love him. You gotta love this man. I don't know. I do.
Alex Jones. How would you describe him? He's a hugely influential conspiracy theorist. His ravings are untethered from reality. It's a nasty piece of work, but I think he's also a deflating windbag. He's not right in the head.
I'm very pro free speech, and the word dangerous is used far too liberally. In his case, I think it's actually justified. Could he be a threat to American?
I just love when people say that. I just love when people say, "Oh, I'm very free speech. I love free speech. Nobody loves free speech more than me. But Alex Jones, shut him the hell up. He can't. No, that's too far. Too far. No. Okay, girl, go back to England. Okay, go back to London. Absolutely not.
Democracy. Everyone thinks he's a crazy motherfucker and they never heard him talk. They think he's just nuts. And he is crazy, he is. But you gotta be crazy to stand in front of the world and put your ass on the line and say the things he's saying. So you gotta be a little crazy. It's like a rock star, like Axl Rose. Oh, he's crazy. Yeah, he's Axl fucking Rose.
There is a war for your mind.
Information is the unlock.
Information warfare.
I come to you with a spring in my step, a song in my heart, emotionally and spiritually refreshed, because you know how, as humans, we have to accept
Oh
the
my
fact
God.
that sometimes bad things happen to good people.
I'm dead with that.
Well, by the grace of God.
Who here is old enough to remember when gay Stephen Colbert had dancing vaccines on his show? I mean, what the fuck was that? What kind of sick ass government propaganda was that? What a time to be alive. My God. I mean, that was one of the most disturbing pieces of media propaganda I have ever fucking witnessed was this vaccine dancing needles on Stephen Colbert's late night show. I'm still blown away by that.
Sometimes bad things happen to Alex Jones. That's a good thing.
The despicable and ridiculous Alex Jones
deserves every minute of torture.
Woo! I don't like giving people like Alex Jones a platform, but what do? He's out there.
Tucker Carlson continues to fawn over Jones, calling him one of the most important truth tellers in America today.
What does it mean for the future of InfoWars?
Infowars.com. This is InfoWars, right?
I think everybody wants to know, will
he be shut down?
This verdict shuts down Alex Jones? Good. I guess the good guys just won the InfoWars.
He is the #1 threat to these people.
Take the bullhorn away.
You know, kicked us off the internet, tried to ban our IP, got banks to cancel us, lawsuits, censorship, investigations from the FBI. I mean, everything has been thrown at us.
Take him out. Make certain he can't rebuild the platform. That's what matters. I hope that we never see someone like him again.
Oh my God, but democracy, right, guys? Right, you guys? I mean, right? But we all love democracy, don't we?
Infowars.com lives. People can come to my show every day, 11 a.m. Central, and they can hear what I'm actually saying, Piers, versus what you're trying to put in my mouth.
You got God's warriors coming together, like the SWAT team of free thought.
It has become more than ever a litmus test as to whether you get what's going on in the world or not.
This is InfoWars, right?
If you don't get what Alex Jones represents, if you can't recognize that Alex Jones is the real deal, you don't get anything.
We're going to give this information on InfoWars.
So no concept of the wider perspective here. If you still can't see through the lies that are telling you that Alex Jones is somehow not who he says he is, you still can't get it.
We've been fighting this battle for a long time, Alex, and we just got to salute you as a Christian and as American, because you paved the way to make braver soldiers like us today.
This is about good versus evil and God fighting the devil. You got to pick a side now.
Info warriors.
All we ever do is promote human freedom of every race, color, and creed. Our message is really imperative for everyone to understand, like, this is the way out. It's about understanding that every single human being has a right to live their life the way they want, unmolested and uncontrolled by those with more power than them. So no matter what they say about us, no matter how they want to portray us, just know that InfoWars really represents something totally unique, totally special, and an existential threat to the most vicious, evil, totalitarian, and importantly, miserable people on the earth. Who is the #1 player in all of this? Who is the #1 symbol of alternative media and, internet content? It is
the legend that is Alex Jones, and you were fighting on the front line, and now we're here with you. You got some other superheroes part of the Avenger movie fighting for Christ and free speech.
Folks, we really are going to save this country, and we really are going to save this planet.
On InfoWars. Think about that for a second.
Shout out to Owen and Harrison too, two other legends. So yeah, I mean, it's absolutely correct. More information and letting people speak. If you're offended, if you hate it, if you makes you uncomfortable, don't listen. Just don't listen. But trying to shut people up, trying to ruin people's lives for something that they said is so disgusting and evil that it's just, I don't understand how anyone can get behind it, honestly. And that's just my opinion. I think that we need more speech, we need more dialogue and more discussion, and letting people figure it out for themselves. Who cares if they want to believe something that you don't believe? Who cares? As long as people aren't hurting anybody. And I think that the reason why people get overly animated over certain topics when they hear speech that might not be true is because of the way that it's being suppressed. So as long as you just let things breathe, let things have air, I think people can, for the most part, work things out for themselves. And, the rest of it is just disgusting censorship. So why try to control people in this way? But I want to know what you guys think. Let me know in the comments down below. Like the video if you like it. And what do y'all think about all of this? The compelled speech and the double speak and all of the hypocrisy and everything like that. It's truly mind-blowing and it's disgusting. And I think it's something that we all need to be watching very closely, because this is how you get into a downward spiral that's going to take us into a very, very dark place of censorship like none other that we've seen before. So subscribe to the channel if you guys want to see more like this, and I would really appreciate it. Until next time, I will see y'all later. Bye.
I just tell the truth, and telling the truth is crazy in a world full of lies. If you mix brilliance with bravery, that we can ignite something. Even this conversation alone can ignite the people.
The time is now to express and for people to believe in themselves. The time is now for it to be okay to be great. People in this world shun people for being great, for being a bright color, for standing out. But the time is now to be okay to be the greatest you.